So I was part of a rapid research response centered out of Toronto General Hospital in 2003 during the SARS outbreak there. Um, there's a lot of familiarity for how I felt then um, versus how I feel now. The unknown of a new virus affecting a community, the unknown of how best to block transmission and to break the viruses back so that we can get back to some sense of normalcy. Toronto was the only city affected outside of Southeast Asia in 2003. So the impact of a coronavirus pandemic to Toronto was very unique and was very unique to us, and something that I don't think a lot of cities in North America feel right now with COVID-19. The lessons we learned at that time were very poignant and very urgent. Toronto had no rule book back then in how to deal with an epidemic. So putting protective measures in place, doing social distance, and declaring a state of emergency was part of Toronto's plan. And that massive public health directive and response controlled the SARS infection in 2003. Now, 17 years ago, we were just about to relieve some of those measures. And Ontario was just about to relieve its state of emergency. And once that happened, I believe it was May 17th, 2003, Toronto experienced a second wave based largely out of hospitals and long-term care facilities. And I remember that being a crushing blow to Toronto. We had just got to the other side of the initial epidemic, and then we had to go through a second wave. And the second wave lasted just as long as the first. Now, how does that relate to now with COVID-19? Well, we are just at that stage again, where we are thinking about relieving some of those health measures. So those are my concerns right now.
Yeah, I'm sure you're experiencing a bit of scary deja vu here on a much wider scale, because I know on your side of the border, things are opening up even faster than they are here. And the U.S. has become the epicenter of the problem, right? So how does it feel to know that, it clearly is opening up way too early?
Right. I feel optimistic in terms of planning a return to some sense of normalcy. However, the US and Canada are still at the peak of their curves. So Canada is still adding cases every day to the case count, and it's still a linear part of our curve. We have slowed down the number of new cases every day, but that is still at its peak. So it's a little strange for me to be considering rapid removal of some of these more dramatic public health measures and get back to some sense of normalcy. It seems more difficult to plan that and to have some of those measures come off than just to wait a little longer until we are clearly down the other side of this pandemic curve.